Hi, and welcome to Female Entrepreneurs Magazine, your go to platform for ambitious women who are ready to take the business world by storm. I'm your host, Angel France, and each week we'll dive into the latest strategies, stories, and success secrets from the most inspiring female entrepreneurs around the world. Whether you're just starting out or scaling up, this is your space to connect, learn, and grow alongside a community of trailblazing women who, just like you, they are making their mark in the world of business. From personal branding to powerhouse marketing, from leadership to lifestyle tips, we've got you covered. So get ready to ignite your passion, fuel your purpose, and unlock your potential with Female Entrepreneurs Magazine. Let's make this journey together and turn your entrepreneurial dreams into reality. Hey guys, welcome back to Female Entrepreneur Show. Today, we have an absolute get ready, hold on, because we are speaking with a true business powerhouse who's been transforming businesses and lives of entrepreneurs and running her own business for 2 decades. She's not just a profitable and growth advisor. She's your go-to expert for helping service-based entrepreneurs achieve financial freedom and operational efficiency as a certified clockwork professional. Okay, I can't wait to hear about this. All right, I don't know about you guys, but I can't wait. Her business name is an affordable bookkeeping payroll service. Oh my God, I definitely need that service. Lord help me. She's also a co-author of multiple business books. Now, if you're looking for practical advice, you can catch her on her highly acclaimed Biz Help For You podcast. Oh my God, I'm going there. I can't wait to download it. It's going to be my go-to for finances. Available for you. It's available for you on YouTube, podcast channels everywhere. You know, outside of her thriving business, Candy also spends time with her family baking sourdough bread. Okay, I'm hungry. Officially. All right, and even tackling logistical logical puzzles. Okay, that would blow my brain. My brain couldn't go there. And because really, what can't she do? That's my first question. What can't she do? You know what? It is my absolute honor to welcome this talented, extraordinary entrepreneur, Candy Messer, to this show. Thank you, Candy, and welcome to being here.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation. And that was quite an introduction. Thank you.
Hey, it's all true. Baking, how do you fit it in there? I just don't know. Well, before we start, let's just start by asking you about your journey and how you became the entrepreneur you are, the financial guru. I'm going to call you the financial guru. That's okay.
Sure, that's fine. I actually never intended to be a business owner. I went to school and I did major in business management. And of course, in business management, I did have to take some accounting courses. So I'd been exposed to it, but I was working basically retail management actually. And I had worked in that job for almost 9 years from the time that was my first real job, as a teenager. And then I stayed there through getting married and having children. And I just decided after my son was born, I didn't really want to go back into retail. And basically, a few years later, after staying home with my kids, I was working as a full charge bookkeeper in a publishing company, and someone knew what I did. And she said, my husband has a business and he wants me to do his bookkeeping. I don't mind invoicing the clients. I don't mind paying the bills, but I hate reconciling. Will you please help me? And I was like, I'm not sure, you know. And she literally begged me for months. And finally I was like, okay, like I will help you. And then I had to buy the software and I had to get the business license and I had to have a home operating permit and all these things that were, going to cost me. And I was like, I need more customers to make it worth it because I'm going to spend too much just to get started. And so I worked basically the real job. A few days a week. I was working, I believe, 3 or 4 days at that time. And then I had a day off to spend with my children in their school. I volunteered and, did those things. And so then I had that day a week that I could go to a client location and do the work. And that's basically how I started. That was in 2002. And like I said, now here we are, 2024. And so I now have staff. I've got 10 employees currently, and we are now a fully remote team. And my staff is now in 6 states, where I started in California in an office. Now we're spread in different places. And that's been really a fun journey to go along with too, to be able to make that dream possible for other people to be able to work from home, care for their children, things like that too.
That is awesome. Oh my God. So it this wasn't expected. It just you have to be open. When you become an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, don't you feel like you have to be open to what's in front of you?
Mhm. I think I would call myself kind of that accidental entrepreneur, because I never thought that that would be something I would do. And when I had started helping these couple people on the side, I still had that real job, I quote unquote the real job. And my husband finally said, you should quit your job and just focus on your business because you're good at it. People love what you're doing. But that was a scary thing, to give up a guaranteed paycheck, right? I was now going to have to work and be really good at what I did and find the customers that needed the service. And, it was one thing to have someone come to me and say help, but to find additional customers, I had never marketed anything before. I had to sell myself like that before. And so that was a bit scary. But of course, I took my husband's advice, and now, like I said, I'm very thankful I did. But at first, I was like, I don't want to quit my job, you know, but he was wise.
Yes, because I mean, I don't know, as a woman, I mean, I know I loved security, so I used to do the same
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
Opportunities would open and you go, "Oh, but why?"
Hmm.
Yeah. All right. So I think you have another opportunity that just came to you. Can you tell us about that opportunity? And I think they match and they pair so perfectly because you're dealing with all these people who are in business or entrepreneurs, and we don't take time. I want to hear
Hmm.
about this, what you're doing. I'm excited for you. Go for it.
Sure. So I recently became, as you mentioned in the bio, a Clockwork certified partner, which means I can teach this program, Clockwork, which I've been doing in my own business now for a little more than a year. And basically, it's to teach you as the owner how to be able to step away from your business for 4 weeks, uninterrupted vacation if you want, or doing things that you haven't had the chance to do, and let the company run without you. So I realized this is something I really needed for my own business, and I had read the book Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz along with others, that he has done. And then I found out about this program that would help with additional coaching and training, and they had modules that were actually showing like tools and tricks and tips and things. And so as I was going through this and implementing it, I knew that there were other people out there who could benefit from this. And then they decided to offer the actual training program to become a certified partner. Before, they used to just do it themselves. And now they were going to allow others to become certified. And I said, I knew I needed to do this because there are just too many people who are working way too much and never get any time away. They might technically take a vacation, but they're working on vacation, and so I know that there's so many out there that could benefit from this. And so not only do I, yes, want to give peace of mind and handle the finances, but I also want to give the freedom to take time away, whether it's, just enjoying some downtime and not even going on a vacation, or maybe you have family issues that arise and you need to be able to step away and not stress about the fact that the company needs you. There's so many times that this could go into effect, and you want to be able to take time away and not worry. And so that's what I've decided to start doing as well.
I love it. That is perfect. That is something, like I said, it marries very well. It really does. Because I don't know about you, but I mean, I sometimes can work like 16 hours a day.
Hmm.
And I
Yes.
just get like, oh, and my brain starts going and I just get 16 hours a day in and I'm like, okay, and then go to sleep and wake up and start again. But 4 weeks sounds really good.
Yeah. And you start, that sounds scary too. Like, oh, I can't just up and take 4 weeks, but you don't like just up and take 4 weeks. You start working on things in your company and making some of those changes that will allow you to step away. And then if you wanted to start with just a couple days, even you could. I started with a week and then came back and said, was there anything that we needed to fix? And then I did a few months later, I did 2 weeks, and then that's a little bit more on the team. And then a few months ago, I took 3 weeks, and now it will be 4. So when I come back in, it will be like, what were the challenges? And I've told my operations manager, if there really is an emergency, obviously she could reach out to me, but the staff can't. The staff have to go to her. She's the only one that can come to me, and we'll see. And the last time we did this at 3 weeks, I had a debrief meeting the day I came back, and there were no issues. Right. And so I think a lot of times we think there are going to be issues, and we put more in our own brain about what is going to happen than really happens. And you empower your team to make decisions, and you give them guidelines. Before you leave, it's not like you just leave and they don't have any instruction. You're preparing them for this too. And they feel empowered, and they enjoy that authority, that they can make some of these decisions too.
I love that. That is good. So okay, I think that's going to be great. I think you're going to be able to teach so many people things. Bookkeeping. Let's go back to bookkeeping business. What all do you exactly offer to businesses and entrepreneurs?
Sure. Well, we help US-based companies with things such as bookkeeping, payroll, sales tax, 1099 processing. There's a new thing also called beneficial ownership information reporting that is due by the end of this year. And if you don't do it, and you're supposed to, it's a $591 per day penalty. So we're helping businesses with that as well. So it's basically, think of compliance things you have to give to government agencies. And if you don't, they send you notices and they say you owe them money for penalties, fines, interest, things like that. That's what we help with. And then again, on the helping them understand financial reports, what do those reports actually mean? What information does it provide for you? And then helping you make changes. So if you realize, well, I'm not as profitable as I thought I was, or, I'm struggling with cash flow, what are the things that you could be doing in your business to make some changes? So all of that is something that we can offer, and people can pick and choose. So it doesn't have to be that you have to come to us and use all of those services. We have some that they do their own bookkeeping, but they don't want to file their sales tax returns or run the 1099s, or they want help running the payroll. So we can do any or all of those things.
Love it. So tell us also about your podcast. What actually do you talk about on your podcast?
Sure. My podcast is called Biz Help For You, as you mentioned. And my goal really is to help the entrepreneurs be successful, because too many will start, they have a passion, maybe a dream, or during COVID, there was a necessity, to start a business, and they don't always know what they don't know. And again, if you get these notices that you were supposed to have a business license, you were supposed to have paid estimated tax payments, and you didn't, and now you're penalized. I want to help entrepreneurs avoid the issues that they didn't even know existed. And so sometimes I do solo episodes on, a financial topic, but often I interview people in other variety of like industries per se, because they need to know marketing, they need to understand legal, they need to understand all of these different things, leadership, that will help them be more successful. And so that is what I do on my show. We air twice a week on Tuesdays and Fridays. And really, it's to keep those entrepreneurs operating successful businesses. As I said, too many fail. The statistic that I heard most recently was less than 33% of businesses are still in operation 10 years after they start. And those that began during COVID, 50% have failed. And that is a huge number, and I want to change that.
Wow. Love it. So tools. What is your favorite tool to use inside of your business?
So we have a lot of clients with a lot of different things that need to be done, filing due dates. So we use a project management system. The one we use is Teamwork, but there's so many out there that you could use. And it helps us keep track of everything that needs to be done for every client, whether it's running payroll every 2 weeks for someone, or maybe someone else's once a month for a certain task. Sales tax, needs to be filed in certain states on certain dates. So it really keeps everything in one place for us, and we can assign tasks to employees. and we can put our own private things in there too. So if there are certain things that I need to do and no one else needs to see it, I can add that and only I will see it. But if we need something that everyone can see, contact information if needed, all of it could be in one place. And so it makes it very efficient.
Wow. I need efficiency. I think teamwork might be my new thing that I'm going to try. I love it. All right. Can you share with me what you would tell your 18-year-old self today?
Well, I would say, first of all, it is not a scary thing to become an entrepreneur, right? Like I didn't have to think I had to have that guaranteed paycheck. So I think that would be one thing. Another thing would be you don't have to work in an office, right? So when I first, worked from home originally, I was going to client locations, but then when I was going to increase my business, I opened an office and I was leaving, early in the morning. My children were at home and I was going to the office. And looking back now, I could have still had boundaries around I still need to work, but I could have been in my own home. But that wasn't as well known back then, right? Not very many people actually were able to work from home 22 years ago, But knowing that now, right, that it was a possibility, I could have probably tried to work something out. And if I needed to meet a client, I could meet somewhere. It didn't have to be at my home. But I would say that I think that's one of the things that I would have told myself, you can do that. And be strong in terms of holding boundaries, right? Because I allowed clients at first to kind of dictate how I was doing things in my business. And I was having to learn to stand up for myself, let's say, to some of them that were used to doing certain things a certain way or expecting certain things or, thinking that they were the only client and I should drop everything to help them, So I would say just have boundaries that you want to have upheld. And it's okay if someone doesn't want to, follow those boundaries. You just don't have to work with them, and understanding that you are good enough, right? A lot of times we compare ourselves to other people, imposter syndrome, right? We all go through it, but you are good enough.
I love it. I love it. You bringing up such a very good, important point because we need to have a value system around our time.
Hmm.
So we need to make boundaries as an entrepreneur saying, I only am going to do this from this time to this time, and I'm not going to let a client dictate how I'm going to function through that.
Hmm.
So you brought up that is such a great thing because most of us think that we have to constantly we have to jump.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, we're going to get to you, which just not right now. That you're not
Yeah,
in that
most of the things are not emergencies, right? It might be to them, but in real life, most of the time it is not an emergency. There are very few things that it might be, but in most cases, probably not.
All right. You brought up children. You've had your business for 22 years. So how old were your children when you started?
So let's see. I started technically in 2002. So my daughter was 8, going on 9, and my son was 6.
All right. So they're older now, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
So the question is, back then, when they were 8 and 6, how did you balance your family and business life?
I don't think I did very well at first, to be honest. I mean, if we're going to be honest, right? The listeners are going to know that not everyone can balance everything. I think a lot of times that's a word that people put out there like, oh, yeah, you can just balance your life. You have your business, you have your, home life. But at first, I was the business, and like I said, when I first started and I had my real job, I was going to my kids' school and volunteering and everything. But then as my business grew and it was just me, and we had some people that only brought their work in quarterly because they needed sales tax done. And so I had all of this work all at once, and quarterly reports that had to be filed to the IRS and the state, and sales tax, like it all had to be done. So every 3 months it became very difficult. And I would go in early in the morning and I would come home late at night and I would work on Saturdays. So after this season, I would always tell my family, we're going to go out to nice dinner and just have family time and celebrate that we made it through that quarterly reporting. And that's what I did at first when it was just me. And every quarter we would do that. And then I turned that into, once I started hiring staff, I turned it into like an annual employee appreciation day, where we said we survived like crazy season. Like January to April, of course, is like the craziest. You get a lot of people who are like, oh my goodness, I have to have taxes done and I have done zero bookkeeping. So I'm going to bring you a year's worth of bookkeeping, you know? And so the beginning of the year is always tough. So usually in May, sometimes June, we would have that annual appreciation day. I would close the office early. I'd take them out to a nice dinner. Well, that was when we were all in the same office. Now we're spread out. So I have to do a virtual kind of thing too. But that's how it started. It was just me, and I was trying to celebrate, that I survived. But I wouldn't call it necessarily a balance per se. Or you could maybe say some months were easier to be at home, and some months, because of the deadlines, I have no control of the IRS and the state deadlines. I just knew that one month every 3 months was going to be the most difficult month of that period, and we would survive it, and then we would have some time together. So it did have that ebb and flow, I guess.
I called it because I didn't have any children of my own, but I raised my husband's grandson. Okay. And I've always worked from home. So I called it the bribery tool. That seemed to work well. I would bribe and say, I just need this much time. And as soon as I'm finished, this is what we're going to do. You do
Mhm.
this. So when he was between that age, that's what I did. All right. Now they're older, and you're probably like me, dealing with parents who are older as well.
Mhm.
How are you balancing it now?
So that's one of the reasons that I really wanted to implement clockwork in my own business too, because I do have older parents who live in a state, different from me. I have a mother-in-law who lives in a state different from me. And if something were to happen, I want to be able to drop anything and everything to be able to help, whether it's something that they just need some medical care and they need me to be there to help, or, unfortunately, we all are going to face when we lose a family member and I have to go through, all of that. And I'm actually the executive of my parents' estate as well too. So I'm going to be the one handling all the paperwork and all the stuff, and I need to be able to have time to do that. So that's already kind of in the plans, right? And working on that, which is why I want to be able to have my company run without me. So if something happens and I get a call, I could tell my staff, I am not available. Handle it for me, please. And so I think that's so important for everyone, because if something were to happen and we can't step away from our business, then we have to also deal with that guilt too. And how do we manage a family that needs us and we can't be there? And I don't want that situation to happen. And, until I get my business exactly where it needs to be, and I'm still in the process, I'm not there yet. But I have had times where my daughter will call and say, hey, I'm going to take the kids here. Can you join me today? And I already have things on the calendar that are set, they're podcast recordings or meetings with clients. And I have to say, I can't do that today, and I want to be able to change that at some point where I have the more freedom than I currently do. It's a work in progress, but I know I'm going to get there, and I'm excited for when that will happen, so that if I am needed, I'm not going to feel guilty. The business isn't going to suffer, and I can be there for the family.
Well, I'm excited. You're going to be able to teach me and everybody else that too.
Happy to do it.
No, definitely. Because that is something, I mean, we had a hurricane last week here. I'm in the South, right?
Mhm.
And so, I had people over.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it was a little crazy
Yeah,
between working
unexpectedly.
and yeah. Between working and that, and my parents didn't leave, so on the phone with them, "Are you okay? Do you still have electricity?" Things like that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, little crazy pants, so I totally understand that. All right, talking about so yeah, my superpowers is the key, correct? All of those superpowers. So if you were to pick a superpower for one day, what would it be?
I think I'd want to clone myself, right? So I could have my clone do all the things that need to be done, and then I could just do whatever I enjoy. And whether, again, that's hanging out with my grandchildren or baking something or doing a logic puzzle, some of the things that I don't always have time to do, sit down, read a book, things like that, that would be fun. And I know I will get there again someday, but in the meantime, yeah, a clone would be good.
Yeah, what was the name of that movie? with Tom Hanks, Duplicity,
Oh,
or something like that.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I saw a long time ago. Yes.
Yeah, one would be good, not two or more.
Yeah, it starts to get too defective, right? The more you get.
Definitely. All right. So talking about, so you talked about books and you like Clockwork,
Mhm.
okay? And any other books?
Well, I do have to say, Mike Michalowicz is a great author. Obviously, I had read Profit first, and I implemented that in my own company as well years ago. Then I found out about Clockwork. He also wrote another book recently that came out actually of January of this year that's called All In. It's on leadership, and it gives great information about that too. So I would say those three books are probably the top books, and they're all Mike Michalowicz books. And there's others I've read, we know everyone talks about the E-Myth. That's a great book too. And understanding, you're not supposed to just be working in the business. You're supposed to work on the business, which is again, a clockwork concept as well. And so a lot of times these will pair well with other books. But for sure, I would say, I think out of all the business authors, Mike Michalowicz is the one that I follow and read his books the most.
All right. What about songs? Do you have any favorite songs?
My favorite artist growing up was Amy Grant. I still love her, and there's so many other artists that I love. I just love music in general. I grew up when, I had to do chores and I would play music, or anything that I had to do. And even working, sometimes I'll just have music playing in the background because I love music. And I was in the band and choir and everything when I was younger. And so music's a big part of it. But in terms of like, do I have one favorite artist or song now? I would say no, I just enjoy different types of music. And whether you're sad or you're happy, music can be something that's really helpful.
So I'll make you laugh. That Amy Grant was the first concert that I ever went to.
Nice.
And there's only one other one I went to. You promised not to laugh. It's Carmen. So I didn't
Okay.
venture into the world of concerts at all. It was very
Mhm. Yeah, I've been to quite a few of her concerts. And the first concert I actually went to, it was because I worked at Sears originally, and Sears sponsored, it was Phil Collins. All of a sudden I couldn't think. Phil Collins, he was the first concert I ever got to see. I enjoyed that one. But yeah, Amy Grant, I started listening to when I was maybe 13, 14, something like that. And so I followed her all these years. And so I still love her music, but there's so many great artists out there and groups that I just really enjoy a variety.
I love it. I love it. Quote. Do you have a favorite quote?
Oh goodness. There's quite a few. I love Zig Ziglar. He always has a lot of great tips, and he talks about, and I may not say this exactly, right either, but it's like that he'll talk about how instead of trying to help yourself, you could help the other people as well too, and you'll get that in return. I think just, yeah, I mean, right now, off the top of my head, it's really hard to say, what it is, but after this is done, it'll probably come to me exactly, right? But he had a lot of great quotes, and it's really taking the focus off yourself, really, and what you can do, and not looking at the negative side of things, but looking at the positive side of things. And it's just the right outlook to have.
All right. What about one fact that not everybody knows about you?
Well, I am a shy introvert, and I've had to learn to get out of my shell. Like I said, I never thought I'd be a podcast host either. Someone from Voice America, that they're basically audio, only. It was a radio show, but they're the ones who approached me and said, "You have great content. We'd love to have it as a show." And I was like, I don't know if I would want to do that, And once again, it took a little bit of talking me into it almost. I had to think through, and finally I was like, well, what's the worst that can happen? But it was a live 1 hour show. And to think about doing that, I was very scared to do that too. But then I thought, okay, well, what's the worst that can happen? I'm not good, right? But what's the best that could happen? I could share, and like I said, my passion is really to help entrepreneurs. So I could share information with them and help them. And so I did that with Voice America for 15 months. And then my husband, who again is very wise, and said, you really should be on YouTube, because a lot of people search on YouTube and you're not there. And so we then started basically over from scratch. And I then started recording for video as well as audio. And so now, again, we've celebrated 5 years as as I've been hosting, Biz Help For You, but it's been on probably a little less than 4 on YouTube.
Wow. That is amazing. That really is. And the fact that you are shy, introvert, I mean, you don't come out that way. You come across as a very outgoing, bubbly,
Well, put me in a room of people that I don't know, and you'll see that it takes me a little bit of effort to go and talk to someone.
What gets you motivated?
What gets me motivated? What gets me motivated? Well, on the business side, again, giving peace of mind to my clients and really helping them do the things they have to do, but they really don't want to in their business, or they're scared to, or they just don't have time and they're feeling completely overwhelmed. So that's on the business side. On the personal side, I really just love being able to encourage other people, like if they're struggling. I'm the kind of person, again, more like one-on-one, not a big group of people, because again, I'm an introvert, but one-on-one relationships, and really just being able to support someone who's maybe going through a struggle or just needs a friend. I am very loyal. I still have friends, my 2 best friends that I've had most of my life. One I met when I was 8, and one I met when I was 14, and we're still in touch and support each other, even though we're in 3 different states. So I've my very long-term friendships. I have a few more. I've got another one who was the maid of honor in my wedding, and I just celebrated 32 years of marriage, so we're still in touch too. So a very long-term relationships, but I just want to be that person that can support. And I don't even have to be like I could be in the background, and maybe people don't even know I'm doing something, but I'm able to help out that way. So I guess that's what I enjoy.
I love it. I love it. Do you have a giveaway or a download or a way for them to get in touch with you that you want to tell us about today?
Sure. I do have a guide for understanding financial lingo. A lot of people really don't know the terms and what these different things mean. So I created that, which gives a lot of the vocabulary, and it also explains the difference between cash flow and profit, because that confuses people a lot. And like, wait, how can I be profitable if there's no money in the bank? So that one you can go, I believe it's bit.ly/FIN guide. But I can give you a link just to make sure, but I believe it's the FIN guide. And that's a free download. And then of course you could find me either on YouTube, you can search Biz Help For You or Candy Messer, or you could find me on my website at abandp.com.
Very good. So is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wish we would have today? All right.
I think I would just like to encourage, if someone is out there thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, but they're scared or they don't know if they're going to be successful, or I can't give up my job. Well, first of all, you don't have to give up your job yet. You could start on the side. That's what I did for a while. I had my real job and I had this on the side. But it doesn't hurt to start. Like, what's the worst that can happen, right? The worst that can happen is in the long run, it doesn't work the way you thought. But that's okay. Like, we can all learn from our experiences too, but you might be surprised and you'll find out that you could be running a very successful company. So I would just encourage you, to start and find a mentor who can help you, because a lot of people think like, oh, someone's not going to want to help me, I'm their competitor. Most of the time, that's not the case. And a mentor doesn't even have to be in your industry, but if you find someone who is, I bet they would be willing to help.
So true. So true. All right. So I'm going to call you the superwoman, finance, baker. Oh my God, you're everything. I love it. I love it. I wish, look, my spare time, if I have spare time, my jam is dancing. So just give me a dance floor and I'll go dance. So
Nice.
baking, everybody goes, who cooked it? Like they'll ask between my husband and I, who cooked this? And he's like, not her. It's okay.
Well, like I said, you don't have to be perfect at everything.
No. All right. Thanks for being with me. I so greatly appreciate having you, especially your wisdom with finances. That is just something everybody needs.
Well, I enjoyed being here. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Female Entrepreneurs Magazine. I hope you found inspiration, actionable tips, and a sense of connection with our incredible community of driven women. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share the episode with fellow entrepreneurs who are ready to elevate their game. Remember, your success is just the beginning, and we're here to support you in every step of the way. Until next time, keep shining, keep thriving, and remember, you have the power to create the business and life of your dreams. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.